Next, I get the pleasure of introducing Zach Weir. Zach is a longtime Empathy Circle facilitator and trainer and the founder of potluckinaction.com, which is our Empathy Circle app. Zach, what you got to share?
Thank you for organizing, Kara. But it's potluck action without the
Potluck
in
action.
the middle. It's all right. It's all right. No worries. No worries. All right. So let's explore opportunities in chapter organizations and partnerships and empathy circles. Um, you don't have to develop chapters or partnerships for political action, but that's the example we're going to use today. We're going to use it, just go right into the lion's den, and maybe we'll have some fun with it. All right, so saving democracy is our mission. And this is written with examples, discussion, and anecdotes from the United States. Our friends abroad are warmly welcome to share their examples, analysis, and insights for development of future publications or to publish their own. This guide is open source. So we're not covering chapter nor partnership or operations in detail. This is more of an overview of the differences between the two. Most likely, you might be starting a chapter, and this primer simplifies your understanding of what the chapter does. Partnerships take on the tougher stuff down the road. We're running through the most relevant concepts to get you started and still see the big picture of how empathy circles can fit into full spectrum politics. This guide doesn't need to tell you what party to support, what policies to support, nor do you need to agree with all the recommendations or examples. This is about considering concrete steps for building a culture of empathy where it feels good to organize with people who disagree with you. At a glance, you might assume only bleeding heart liberals would be interested in empathy circles. Some of our biggest supporters in our community's history identify as conservatives, vote for Trump, and love the relationships and experiences possible in empathy circles. The campfire of an empathy circle feels warm to a lot of different kinds of people. Can you tell which party the broccoli represents? Circles outperform alternatives in building consensus and compromise. You can observe the accelerated pace of relationship building, personal growth, and the frequency of discovering win-win opportunities in contested environments. This strategy won't magically address all of our society's ills overnight, nor make everyone think the same. There will still be differences of opinion and values. You may observe people do empathy circles for years, but still have competing interests, such as supporting different political parties for the same offices. Chapters and partnerships can help you manage those differences at scale. Difference, for our purposes here, means differences in opinion and action in the political process. This includes strategy, policy positions, fundraising, any activity that ultimately impacts law and budget. The chapter's job is to facilitate a constructive culture and climate where the general public feels empowered to participate in a culture of empathy. Chapters can conduct business and formally incorporate, but its business decisions should primarily support building a community for bonding, relationship building, partnership building, and fun. Where chapters are the home or church, partnerships enable flexibility with complex differences. When people want to take action on a short or long-term basis, they form a partnership. The specific structure of a partnership, like its leadership structure, are irrelevant to us here. Partnerships can be as simple as a handshake and as complex as incorporated nonprofits. You can call it a working group, committee, campaign, project, etc., but calling it a partnership helps illustrate certain concepts, such as forming coalitions with businesses and nonprofits. This is a powerful word in the English language. This word culturally promotes participants into a mindset of mutual power, responsibility, purpose, and respect. Participating in a partnership carries a different mindset from a committee, but choose what works for you. Partnerships could be popular and widely supported by members of a chapter or multiple chapters. The partnership may also be unpopular. or there may be partnerships with competing interests in disagreement with each other. Chapters are the primary incubator for partnerships. This doesn't mean chapters are expected to endorse partnerships, and in general, they shouldn't. You can simply reference them on the chapter website, social media, and emails as something like member partnerships or member projects or project directory or similar language. Now, you might be thinking, but why not use empathy circles to resolve the differences? That's the idea. But resolving certain differences can take months or years, and some differences may never resolve. Partnerships that are allowed to cooperate and compete help protect the chapter from power struggles over mission, strategy, and leadership. Organize stakeholders into appropriate contexts, right, where they can appropriately deliberate, negotiate, and compromise. Enables people to pursue missions that are important to them while participating in culture of empathy. Otherwise, they would just pursue their missions outside of the community. And after pursuing different missions, folks can still return to the same chapter families with continued opportunities for bonding and solidarity. So let's do a fictional example here. All right, Victoria Conversations, fictional organization. It's an empathy circle chapter that has operated with distinction since 2015. Their 300 members include parents, students, young professionals, some local politicians, small business owners, and members of the clergy. They hold events every week online and around town. Every year, they host candidates forums or candidates participate in empathy circles instead of a debate-style format. The forums are now a local tradition and is broadcasted on public access television. Their members include Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, Greens, and Independents. The chapter's role is to be the family unit and to host a productive culture and climate for forming partnerships. A big topic of discussion at the chapter is money and politics. People across the aisle agree that they don't want billionaires and mega millionaires buying their members of Congress. During one empathy cafe, members presented campaign finance reports showing millions of dollars flowing from Fortune 500 companies to Pablo Matias, the Democrat representing Victoria in the U.S. House. People across the aisle in the chapter were concerned about this. Even Democrats wondered, is he actually serving our interests or is he just working for the donors? Matias agreed to participate in one empathy circle in Corpus Christi. When asked if he is willing to stop taking money from special interest groups and their lobbyists, he declined, claiming, "It's impossible to compete without those donations, but I'll never betray my constituents. I work for you." Weeks later, Matias voted for massive historic tax cuts for the billionaires, even though the vast majority of his constituents opposed the tax cuts. Feeling betrayed, folks had enough. 52 Victoria Conversations members formed the Anti-Corruption Partnership with advocacy groups and other empathy circle chapters across Texas. Their mission read, support candidates at the state, local, and federal level who only accept campaign contributions from the people of Texas. You work for us, not them. The ACP agreed to share resources to support a Democrat and Republican candidate in the primaries. The Republican candidate is Luke Avery, a member of the chapter, and has been leading empathy circles for years. For the Democratic primary, ACP endorsed Sophia Luna from Corpus Christi, a longtime leader of the Corpus Christi Empathy Circle Club. Republican members of the ACP, though, ran into problems with Texas for Life, a 501c4 advocacy organization who just recently started participating in empathy circles. Texans for Life refused to join the Anti-Corruption Partnership due to its endorsement of pro-choice Democrats across the state. As a compromise, pro-life Democrats and Republicans in Texas formed the Pro-Life Partnership here. This new coalition enabled Texans for Life to endorse Luke Avery as part of a separate effort. So right now we got two partnerships, one of them endorsing both of our empathy circle candidates, and one partnership that's just working with Luke Avery here. Unfortunately, Matias wins the Democratic primary. Luke Avery, though, won the Republican primary. Chapter members decide whether to continue supporting the ACP. A number of Democrats choose to support Avery in the general election because they feel overall satisfied with his policies and leadership. Others don't because Avery's pro-life, and they knew ahead of time they weren't going to support any pro-life candidate in the general. So they respectfully move on to other efforts. The chapter continues operating normally throughout the election season. All of a sudden, a group of self-identified neo-Nazis start attending chapter events. They join as members and take steps to form the White Fist Partnership with the explicit goal of instigating race riots in the area. Their leader, Wiley Borg, was convicted of aggravated battery in Houston 8 years ago, allegedly in relation to his white supremacist activities. Chapter members aren't going to be taken for fools. They dealt with this kind of thing before. The chapter agreed long ago that violence is not a valid activity for their family, and they have a process in place to discuss the issue and concludes it has capacity for some extremists to respectfully participate in chapter events, but does not have capacity to safely host a violent offender who now says he wants to reoffend. That's what they tell the Nazis, managing them in short order. Their White Fist Partnership is void. And if there are continued issues, they will be referred to Corpus Christi chapter, which has more capacity to work with them. Wiley Borg is banned from chapter functions due to the combination of violent criminal history and trying to organize violent activities again. Local chapters are notified of the incident. With the Lion's Den secured, the chapter continues its journeys. Luke Avery moves on to win the general election and is the first trained empathy circle facilitator in Congress. He thanks everyone who supported him in the primary and/or the general election. Sophia Luna congratulates Avery for his victory and prepares another run for the House seat. She told the victorious Sun, Representative Avery and I see eye to eye on a lot of issues, but my colleague is wrong about a woman's choice. His education policies don't fit our district. I'm prepared to plug holes in the VA and boost well-paid jobs in Texas. In the weeks after the interview, the ACP voted to endorse Luna for the upcoming U.S. Senate seat, with Avery among her first endorsers. Avery, a freshman Republican rep, shocked Washington by endorsing a Democrat to represent Texas in the Senate, bringing national attention to the race. All right. Naturally, the ACP, the Anti-Corruption Partnership, grew in membership. Some other partnerships merged with the ACP. New partnerships sprang up too and went on to develop historic bonds, negotiations, and compromises among Texans. With partnerships, the chapter was able to appropriately navigate a partisan political environment and maintain a constructive culture and climate in the chapter itself. Democrats and Republicans not only found common ground on issues that are important to them, they were able to take political action to get somebody elected to office. A number of Democrats who otherwise would never support a Republican candidate did so in this case, because in their eyes, Avery is financially free to represent
One
them
minute.
and not outside interests. Thank you. By building partnerships across political parties, chapter members are empowered to hold their elected officials accountable across political lines. The partnership help members vividly see and engage with what they agree on and find most important. The partnerships enabled smoother collaboration with organizations outside of empathy circle communities. Over time, partnerships form and merge to flex with real-world conditions. Our members operate in a manner that supports the trend of turning special interest groups into mutual interest groups. You do not have to plan on building partnerships. Focus on building your family unit. With time, demand, and desire, you'll know where your business unit fits in your community. Thank you very much.
Zach, that was amazing. I love that you went right into full spectrum politics with empathy. I think that we can all agree that feeling good while organizing with people who disagree with you is foundational for scaling a movement like the empathy movement. Being able to move from individuals to chapters to partnerships so that we can bridge all of those divides. Thank you so much.
Hell yeah. Thank you for the opportunity.